Hello and welcome to the Microsoft Windows 98 pre-installation training video. My name is Kevin Horst. I'm the systems engineer for the System Builder channel of Microsoft OEM. Now the purpose of this video is to show you, a system builder, how to pre-install Windows 98 using the System Builder pre-installation kit. Now there are two parts to this video. First of all, there's an overview of the Windows 98 setup requirements and about the pre-installation kit for you to satisfy those requirements and even customize the system for your customers. We'll get into some new security benefits and features of Windows 98 as well. The second part of the video, I will show you how to use the System Builder pre-installation kit to pre-install a Windows 98 on a blank PC system. But before I get into that, let me cover a few of the acronyms that I use throughout this presentation. First of all, we have a DSP, which is a delivery service partner. This is your distributor where you should be buying your genuine Windows 98 product. A system builder, or SB, that's you, an OEM, pre-installing Windows 98 on your customer systems. You use a SBPK, or the System Builder pre-installation kit, to accomplish that. It used to be called a PPK, or Product Pre-installation Kit. The COA, you may remember, is the green license or certificate of authenticity glued to the front of all the manuals. And LFN, or long file names, that's any file name that exceeds the 8.3 naming convention. Other acronyms are the preload boot floppy, which I call the PBF. The end user license agreement is called the EULA, or EULA. The product identifier, that's the number your end user would enter from the COA, is referred to as the PID. And BTO refers to build to order, or a custom built PC. Now that you know the acronyms, let's take a look at what a Windows 98 setup should be to make it work quickly and easily and legally for you. We received a lot of feedback on the Windows 95 and OSR2 setup to improve Windows 98 setup. You asked us to make it fast, hands-free, and non-interactive. You asked that the customer name and PID would be independent so that you could copy the hard drive and duplicate it without hacking the registry. You asked us if you could make it customizable so you could add logos and support information. And you asked us to include a way to test the system without violating any of the customer or PID screens. You may ask, why should I pre-install using a System Builder pre-installation kit? Well, the first and most important reason is that Microsoft requires your customer to see the EULA, or the Microsoft End User License Agreement. We require your user to enter his or her name and company name in the screen provided. And most importantly, we ask the customer to enter his or her own PID so we can ensure that they are receiving genuine Microsoft product. Now, aside from these licensing agreements, there are some practical benefits for using the System Builder pre-installation kit as well. First of all, we make setup much faster. We do that by creating an unattended setup, and we do that by reducing the hardware detection time. We allow you to pre-install applications and then test the system without violating the licensing agreement. And we provide you with a legally duplicatable master disk. Furthermore, we allow you to brand your system. You can show your company's logo when Windows 98 first starts up. You can provide equipment and support information accessible via control panel. You can tune up the system. Best of all, you can customize the active desktop wallpaper, components, and especially the channel bar. Lastly, you can add links in Internet Explorer favorites to access your website or Microsoft website if need be. But what exactly is the System Builder pre-installation kit? Well, we listened and we implemented your features and requests into this kit that allows you to pre-install Windows 98 on new machines to satisfy our licensing agreement. It automates the setup so that you can pre-install hands-free. The kit allows a flexible and customizable setup for the very latest hardware devices and build to order. With the kit, there's never a need to hack the registry, there's never a need to open the customer CD, and furthermore, it permits auditing or testing the system. Now, those of you building thousands of different kinds of configurations, you can use the SBPK as well. How do you do that? Well, Windows 98 setup detects plug-and-play devices automatically, and with the System Builder pre-installation kit, you can configure the legacy devices to set up if you include legacy devices with those systems. So custom configurations are available via audit mode, so you can add extra device drivers or software. So you use the System Builder pre-installation kit once for every and all of the thousands of different systems you build. You rely on plug and play to search for those new drivers and devices. New features of the System Builder pre-installation kit include the generic real mode CD-ROM drivers included in the kit itself. Also, you can customize Microsoft Internet Explorer 4.0 settings, including enabling or disabling Active Desktop, configuring the Active Desktop wallpaper and components, and channel content to appear on the channel bar. Now, here are a few words about the versions of Windows 98 and the System Builder pre-installation kit. First of all, the System Builder pre-installation kit, when running, first checks for an existing operating system before formatting the hard drive. It does that so you don't accidentally use it on an existing system. It will not allow an installation on a hard drive if it detects the operating system. Windows 98 is a full installation and not an upgrade. Now, here are some limitations and tools not included in the System Builder pre-installation kit. There are no tools to let you duplicate fully installed systems. There are no tools to pre-install dual operating systems. Nor do we provide anything to allow you to pre-install a multiple hardware profiles, and I refer to a docked, undocked situation there. The System Builder pre-installation kit doesn't have any tools to let you pre-install multiple languages, nor does it allow you to uninstall and or upgrade Windows. It is a full installation of Windows 98 only. You may ask where to find the System Builder pre-installation kit. Well, the kit is available only on genuine Windows 98 product CDs that you buy in a 5-pack from a DSP. To use the kit, merely open just one CD pack. Now, we have a quick guide included in the 5-pack, and the full System Builder pre-installation kit user's guide is extracted along with the wizard, and it's also available from the System Builder website. The tools that I'm referring to are on legal versions of the Microsoft operating system. So to assure that you have genuine Windows 98 product, we've introduced 3 new security features. The first is the CD hologram. If you hold up the product CD in the light and rotate it very slowly, you'll see that the word genuine exchanges with the word Microsoft as you tilt it in the light. The second security feature is a brand new certificate of authenticity, much more colorful, and instead of glued on the product manual, it is actually integrated into it. The third security feature is a heat-sensitive strip interwoven in the product manual cover across the top. And if you hold your finger on it or rub it with your finger, you'll see that the word genuine is revealed on that strip. So ask for these features when you order Windows 98 to ensure that you have genuine product. A few words about hard disk loading versus hard disk duplicating. Making copies of hard disks that share the same PID is not legal. This is called hard disk loading. However, making copies of a pre-installed hard disk before applications are installed is legal and encouraged because it is PID independent and customer name independent because the end user enters this information. To do a pre-installation of Windows 98 demonstration, the first thing I need is a Windows 98 product CD, and you'll find one of those in the 5-pack that you buy from the DSP, along with the manual that is shrink-wrapped. You'll also need 2 blank floppy disks, one for a pre-installation boot floppy, and the other one for a customer boot floppy that you will ship to the customer as a recovery boot disk. It's always a good idea to print out the manual for the System Builder pre-installation kit so you can follow along all the steps. Systems, I have a reference system here on which I extract the wizard and build the boot floppies, and I also have my customer system which has the blank hard drive on which I pre-install Windows 98. So now that I have everything I need, let's get started. Well, I have the Windows 98 product CD installed in the CD-ROM of my reference system, and I'm ready to extract the System Builder pre-installation wizard. And I do that by starting a DOS prompt and moving to my CD-ROM. Now I'm already in the Tools Admin subfolder, which is where the wizard is to be extracted, and so I need to type in the extraction command. Before I do that, I usually like to type in DOS key in case I make a mistake. At this point, a lot of mistakes can happen, so be careful and follow the syntax just as it says in the quick guide that comes with every one of the 5-packs from your DSP. And note the spaces. Now I'm going to be extracting the wizard into the C:/wizard directory. A common mistake is to forget that last double quote. And I hit enter, and now we're extracting the wizard, creating that wizard directory, and extracting folders and files into that directory. As you can see, quite a number of batch files and image files. There are some system files. What I want to do is have enough files in that wizard folder to run the pre-installation wizard and create a script file. There goes some Windows 98 cabs. I'll be creating a script file, and I can do that now. So if I go to my Windows Explorer, Start, Programs, Windows Explorer, I have a wizard directory, so I'll double click that, and I scroll down to the executable called opkwiz, and I'll double click on that executable to launch the pre-installation wizard. Now the wizard is used to design the batch files and the script, the unintended script that Windows 98 will use so that you don't have to keep hitting the enter key or entering information during the setup. First I need to accept the agreement and choose next. A little bit of explanation about the pre-installation wizard. It tells you that it asks questions about installation mode, and devices to be configured, and customization information as well. We'll just move on to that. I think the most important thing for me to do is name my configuration set. My computer company is called Awesome Computers, so I'm going to name this one Awesome. And I can use a file name in an 8.3 format, but I'll just choose the 7 letters of Awesome. This dialog box allows me to configure legacy devices, that is, non-plug-and-play devices. So I know that my CD-ROM and my display, I need to have at least some display, so I'll go into details and I'll clear all of the ones that I know I don't have, and I'll just select the ones that I think that I may have in all of my configurations. So you can scroll down and choose as many of these types as you believe that you will have sometime in the future, and that way you can satisfy those many different configuration sets. In this particular model, I don't have any network adapters, sockets, ports are plug and play, SCSI controllers also plug and play, as is my sound and video capture card. Now that I'm done there, I can choose next. This dialog box is informing me that I'll need to create a boot disk to start the Windows 98 process. Remember, my customer system is a blank hard drive, so I'll need to create a boot disk, which is this boot floppy. To do so, I'll need a configuration config sys file and an autoexec file. If I'm going to be pre-installing over network, I would have my network card real mode drivers in my config sys file, as well as my network client executables in my autoexec bat file. In this case, I'll be pre-installing using a CD-ROM, so I'm merely going to scroll down my autoexec.bat file and begin to set the source of the Windows 98 files, and I just highlight that and delete, and I make sure that there are no leading spaces on that line where the pre-installation will fail. I'm going to change my source from P to D, which is the letter of my CD-ROM. The next thing I'm going to do is set the configuration directory, change it from Model X, the default, to Awesome. And because I'm pre-installing from a CD-ROM, I'm going to remove the remark here, as well as the word syntax, and the LH is loading high, and I will retain the MSCDEX, my CD-ROM client, real mode client, only changing this last letter here to D to indicate my CD-ROM is the last drive. That's all the changes I need to make with factory. So again, I indicate the source of my Windows 98 files in this screen here. This dialog box allows me to enter real mode lines that will launch at the end user site. We have two phases to the pre-installation: a setup that occurs at the OEM site or my site, and then an installation that occurs when the end user boots up. And I have no changes to make here, or I could put them, this would be the opportunity to put them in. Now, this is the dialog box where I can customize this pre-installation and make myself ship systems different than the big OEMs, fully customized. So I'm going to put my company name here, Awesome Computers, and the model name I'll put as the Awesome Model 1000. And here's the place I can put a support URL. Put HTTP. And then the next section allows me to provide information on where my customers can get support. And so I type in Shift Enter brings me to another line. And then Enter a couple times, space over. Now you can certainly put in cell phones, fax machines, websites, anything you care to do, place in this dialog. You can put it in there for where your customers can get support. That being done, I choose Next. Now here's another opportunity where I can brand or customize this system by adding a control panel logo. I'll choose that first. It gives me the browse. So I'll browse up from the wizard directory and into my logos folder and choose my control panel logo. And I'll also choose a startup screen. This logo will appear when the end user turns on the PC, and they will see that logo in the upper left-hand corner. Very simple but very effective way of branding the system. Now these bitmaps have a very particular size, and I found out about those sizes and the color depth by choosing Help and reading the statistics that I need to use there. For the system properties bitmap, I'm using 96 by 96 pixels, and for the startup screen, 150 by 22 pixels. So take a look at the context-sensitive help. It's very informative. Now I can move on to the next screen. The wizard is stamping those logos. In this dialog, I can choose to have the mouse tutorial and or the regional settings and keyboard selection run when the setup is run? Well, because I want setup to go as quickly as possible, I'm not going to select those, but you certainly can if you want. Now here's a very interesting section of the pre-installation wizard. This is called the Application Pre-installation Launcher. You'll note down the left-hand column different name of all the configuration that occurs during the first setup. Control panel initializes, programs on the start, Windows help, MS-DOS programs, as well as time zone, setting up the printer, and now tuning up the applications. And this indicates where these configurations will occur. And in the case of the help, I see that it will occur at the factory. Well, if I want to speed up my pre-installation, I can certainly highlight that, edit that, remove the occurring at the factory, and let it occur at the end user site. And that's how you do it there. You can certainly take the time zone, for example, edit that, and make that happen in all modes if you wish. It doesn't matter, it's up to you. That being done, I choose Next and go to an additional dialog box that affords more customization. The number one, and this is a request that we've received from you, is the ability to turn on or off Active Desktop. In my case, I have some very compelling customization that I would like to use, so I'm going to keep Active Desktop on, and in this section I can choose Active Desktop Wallpaper. So I choose Browse, and I go up to my logos, and I choose my wallpaper. Now, all of the logos, wallpapers, and content that I'm choosing are not created with the kit. You will have to use a Paint program, a graphics program, or an HTML editor to create those. In this section, I can choose an active component to add to the desktop, and I'll do that by choosing Browse and choosing Logos. Now, I'm looking for URLs, but actually I have an HTML file, so I'll just drop that down, and here's my Active Desktop control. Very simple way to brand this PC for my customer. Another new feature of the Windows 98 pre-installation kit is the interface for me to add a customized OEM channel bar. Now, we don't create the channel with the pre-installation kit. You would use the Internet Explorer administration kit to create the channel, but certainly after you create it, you can add it via this interface in the pre-installation kit. So I will leave this blank, and I do want to see the standard Internet Explorer channel bar, so I will leave the disable checkbox unchecked. Next, here's my opportunity to add Internet Explorer favorites to appear when my customer starts up, and I just merely click on the Add URL button, and I click outside of the right of the period there. And the first one I'll add is mine, and I hit enter. I'll add another URL for Microsoft. There's lots of good information on the Microsoft website. And maybe I'll add a third one for my customers to get support. And I know that Microsoft has an excellent support site, so I'll enter that as well. Now, if I choose to, I can add another folder and put more URLs in that folder, and it will just cascade. But I'm not going to do that for this demo, so I'll remove that, and we'll just go to the next. Well, we're finished. So my configuration is saved with my configuration name I entered at the very beginning, and I choose Finish. And what the wizard will do is create a new directory with the wizard configuration. I'll just refresh by hitting F5, and you'll see that there is an awesome subdirectory under the wizard, and I'm all ready to begin making my boot floppy that will contain the script files, the customized images, as well as the system for me to start pre-installing Windows 98 on my customer's blank system. At this point, I'm ready to make my pre-installation boot floppy, or preload boot floppy. The way I do that is, again, I get into an MS-DOS prompt. I have one already. I need to go into my C drive and into my wizard subdirectory. So I do that with that command. And the command to make the boot floppy is mkpbf, preload boot floppy. And then I give the name of the configuration set. Awesome. And I can enter in the floppy drive letter now. It's asking me to prepare, so I insert a floppy disk into my A drive, and I press the key to launch this batch file. Now, the first thing it does is it formats the diskette, so you want to make sure that your diskette is blank. Then the second thing it does is it copies boot files onto the floppy so that I can boot up this customer system. The next step is that it builds the pre-boot floppy, and it copies the configuration files, the customization files, and then an unattended script file onto the boot floppy so that when Windows 98 begins to set up, it can run unattended. I can walk away and come back, and Windows 98 will be completely set up, completely configured, and ready to install some applications and other drivers, test, and then ship. Now it's copying the real mode CD-ROM drivers. In the previous version of the pre-installation kit, we required that you locate those drivers and insert those into the wizard itself. Now we're including that in the pre-installation kit, both IDE, ATAPI, and SCSI CD-ROM drivers, so that the preload boot floppy will detect that CD-ROM automatically. Now I'm copying the script file, logo file, and some various batch files. There's my autoexec and config sys in various different names, and some instructions to copy the files from the floppy disk to the hard drive, as well as instructions to copy the files from the CD-ROM to the hard drive, according to my pre-installation instructions. Here's some more branding. OEMinfo.ini contains the information that you would see in the support information dialog of control panel. And there's some more bitmaps, more INF files. And here's my active channel and my control panel bitmap and my splash screen bitmap and my wallpaper. And I'm done. The preload boot disk, or PBF, is now complete, and I'm ready to use that to pre-install Windows 98 on my customer system. Now that the preload boot floppy is complete, I'm ready to make a boot floppy to ship to my customer so that he or she can recover if there's a problem. So I insert a blank disk into my A drive, and I use the command, again from the wizard directory, make cd boot with the configuration name, awesome, and the floppy name, and it's waiting for me to press the key, so I'll do that. So now this diskette is the one that I ship to the customer as a recovery diskette so that they can boot up from DOS and access the CD-ROM. And if they run setup, they'll include all those wonderful customization files that I've created for my pre-installation here in my factory. The pre-installation boot floppy I keep at the company or at the factory, and I use that boot floppy to pre-install my master disk. I don't ship the pre-installation boot floppy to the customer. CD-ROM boot disk that I would ship to my customer is now complete. So we're ready to pre-install using my newly formatted pre-installation boot floppy from my reference system to my customer system. Okay, I'm booting up the customer system with the blank hard drive with my pre-installation boot floppy. And the first task that it does, it boots up. And I remember I have to have my BIOS look at my floppy disk first. And it's transferring boot files to the hard disk, as you can see. The system is successfully transferred. And now it's transferring the preload tools to the hard disk. It's reading from the A drive. Now it's copying over my customized AutoExec and configsys files. It's copying over some pre-installation tools. As you can see, my CD-ROM driver, MS-CDEX, and my real mode CD-ROM drivers. I'm copying over my script files and my customization files. Here's my HTML wallpapers and logos, active desktops, and it's done copying files from the pre-installation boot floppy. So I'll just hit the space key and remove the pre-installation boot floppy from the A drive, and the system will boot from the C or the hard disk. Now it's booting from the hard disk, and my configuration has specified that it look to the CD-ROM D to get Windows 98 source files. And now it's found those source files, and it's extracting and copying files from the CD to the hard drive. Now, depending on your speed of your CD-ROM drive and the speed of your hard drive and how well you can tighten down the configuration of legacy devices and how fast your CPU and how much RAM you have will determine how long this pre-installation takes. Now, along with the cab files, we'll be copying over the script files that drive the hands-free or unattended aspect of the pre-installation. So that once you boot from the hard disk after the pre-boot floppy copies files over, you can pretty much walk away and come back anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, and Windows 98 will have pre-installed without any input from you at all. And at that point, Windows 98 will be in non-restorative audit mode, when you can hard disk duplicate legally or add drivers, device drivers, and applications. So if you look in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the branding that I was able to do using the pre-installation kit. That's my startup logo, Awesome Computers. As you complete the pre-installation process, you'll go into audit mode, non-restorative audit mode, automatically. In non-restorative audit mode, is indicated by the audit mode text file you see, and also the OEM reset reminder that you can see on the screen now. So at this point, let me show you some of the configuration that we've arranged with the pre-installation boot flop. I'll just move this out of the way. Do you remember we enabled the channel to appear? There it is right there. So and here is my active desktop control for Awesome Computers. I'll just move that aside. and recall the awesome computers desktop wallpaper, and you can see that I've got a live HTML HTTP link there. You can see it changes from the cursor to the pointer. Let's take a look in the control panel. So I'll start, go to Settings, Control Panel, and if I scroll down to the System menu, double click that, you'll see that I have a nice, beautiful, awesome computers logo inserted here. I've got my company name here and my model name here, as well as support information if I select it here. And you remember I entered this text into the pre-installation kit via the wizard. One thing I'd like to point out on this screen is that because we're in audit mode, I don't see any registered name or any registered company. And if you recall, by using the System Builder pre-installation kit, I use a blank for that because the customer puts his or her own name and his or her own company in that prompt and then enters the PID. In audit mode, I see nothing here. So now that I'm in audit mode, I'm able to pre-install applications and drivers. So I have Microsoft Home Essentials CD already inserted into the CD-ROM driver. So let's pre-install Works. I do that by selecting this button here. Works goes through a standard setup. Certainly you could run some of these setups from the command line in a quiet mode. And at this point, I enter my customer's name and my customer's organization because I'm doing it on behalf of that customer. And my organization is Awesome Computers. And I choose OK. And I continue on. Now, if you do any sort of hard disk duplicating of the pre-installed disk, you want to do that before you add any applications. It's asking for a shortcut and checking disk space. And I'm pre-installing Microsoft Works. It's getting ready to complete the MS Works setup. Now again, just a reminder that a hard drive, even though it's pre-installed, that includes applications, is not one that you can legally duplicate. If you're going to do any hard disk duplicating, you must use the pre-installation kit and duplicate before you add applications. And setup was completed successfully. I choose OK, and Microsoft Works has now been installed in audit mode. So I can exit this screen. The other thing that I want to do is install the Microsoft IntelliPoint mouse drivers because I'm shipping the IntelliPoint mouse. So I have the IntelliPoint drivers installed on a floppy disk in drive A, and I just merely launch the setup from the floppy disk. Now, unlike applications, I can pre-install the mouse drivers or any other device drivers while in audit mode and hard disk duplicate those drivers. But I do not want to hard disk duplicate any disk that has applications on it. It's extracting the IntelliPoint drivers and setup files. And now I can choose the Microsoft IntelliPoint language supported, and I have a welcome screen, and again I will enter the name of my customer, and just accept all the defaults. Now we're finishing up the IntelliPoint drive, IntelliPoint installation. And Microsoft IntelliPoint drivers have installed successfully, and I'll just choose Close to set up. At this point, it offers to restart Windows, so I'll just return to Windows because I want to have control over the starting via my Audit Mode dialog box. I'll just close my... So I return to my Audit Mode or OEM reset reminder, and I'm all ready to go. At this point, I could run some system tests, do a defrag or scan disk, configure the tune-up wizard or all sorts of things, and just leave the system run in audit mode. But I'm done now, and so I'm going to clean up the auditing session and shut down the computer so that the next time we start up, we will get the end user first boot experience. So I'll choose Shutdown now. Great, so I'm a customer and I'm starting up the system for the very first time, and I see right in front of me the Awesome Computers logo. And that's just kind of a reminder of where I purchased this system from. So now Windows 98 is going through its boot process, preparing files. And I get my user information screen. So as the end user, I'll type my own name and my company, which is Microsoft OEM, and I go to the next screen, and this is the second of the requirements. I've entered my name and organization. I accept the EULA, and I choose Next, and I'm prompted for the new 25-digit product key, which I'll enter right now. I'll choose Enter or Next. It's verifying the product key and save that information, and I'm ready to continue starting Windows 98. And at this point, I can enter a Windows password. I'll type my name and I'll give it a simple password. In this case, password, and confirm the password. I'll probably want to change that later. Now you can see that I'll have to set my time zone as it's specified in the pre-installation boot floppy. And since I'm in Seattle, Redmond, I'll choose Pacific time and close that. And it goes through a printer setup. I don't have one right now, so I'll just cancel that. And now it's going to configure the system for me as an end user, including Internet Explorer settings, including control panel settings and Windows Help settings, all the system settings that are available. Now Windows 98 is setting personalized settings for such things as the default channel. And here's my first boot scenario. The Welcome to Windows 98, where I can register, connect to the internet, discover more about Windows 98 and just to maintain the computer. I'll just move that out of the way. Let's take a look at the customization that we were able to do with the pre-installation kit. Here's my active desktop control from Awesome Computers. Here's my channel bar that I requested be included. Here's my background wallpaper with the active link here. And here's my pre-installed Microsoft Works. So let's take a look at the other customization. I'll choose Control Panel and take a look at the system icon. And you'll see now it has my name registered and my company registered, and it's assigned me a unique PID based on the 25-digit PID that I entered myself from my genuine copy of Windows 98. And here's the logos again, model name, and support information. It's a very complete and thorough job of pre-installing. So now you can see that the pre-installation of Windows 98 using the System Builder pre-installation kit is quick and easy and allows great customization. So just to summarize the steps that we took, remember first I extracted the wizard from the Windows 98 product CD. I used the wizard to create the pre-installation boot floppy, and I also created a bootable floppy for your customer for recovery. Then I pre-installed Windows 98 on the target system. I added an application while I was in audit mode, and don't forget, while you're in audit mode, you can add additional or updated device drivers depending on your hardware. While in audit mode, I can test the system or burn it in. When I'm satisfied with its quality, I can ship the system with the shrink-wrapped product CD, which includes the CD with the hologram, the manual with the new COA, and the heat-sensitive thread, and don't forget the bootable floppy for your customer's recovery. So remember, pre-installing using the System Builder pre-installation kit is faster and better for both you and your customer. It is the easy way you can adhere to your legal requirements while creating a valid master disk to duplicate. Don't forget to duplicate before you install applications though. Finally, pre-installing lets you deliver a customized and tested system with all the software and manuals shrink-wrapped. To get more information about the pre-installation process, take a look at the OEM website under Technical Support. And by the way, there's a very helpful pre-installation bulletin board service there as well. Also, check the Quick Guide. That's the guide that comes in each 5-pack of genuine Windows 98 product from your DSP. We extracted the pre-installation user's guide when we extracted the wizard, and when you're running the wizard, take a look at the online help that helps you on each step of the way. Thanks for watching this Windows 98 pre-installation video. Good luck in installing and shipping Windows 98 products to all your customers.